Prince Harry and Meghan Markle will still get paid millions of dollars for doing absolutely nothing.
President Trump also announced a new trade deal with the UK that will reopen British markets for American companies. All that Britain demands in return is that we keep these two.
Because if you came up with the picture of an annoying, insufferable white woman, it would be Meghan Markle. If you came up with an out-of-touch, suburban white woman, it would be Meghan Markle, even though she's not white.
So Jo Koy really stepped on that Golden Globe stage and went straight for Meghan Markle, live, unfiltered, in front of Hollywood's biggest power players.
And I'm not gonna lie, I'm a little disappointed because I thought if Harry was looking to marry a beautiful mixed-race foreigner, could have looked a little bit harder. But I guess that night in Morocco didn't mean anything to you, Harry. I called you my royal Ed Sheeran.
If you haven't seen the documentary, lucky you. Ginger Royal meets fit American actress. She then discovers that everything is so unfair. He then discovers that racism is actually a bad thing. And then they moan about everything.
That wasn't just some random joke tossed into the mix. It was the spark that lit the whole room on fire. Suddenly, Meghan wasn't just another name on the guest list. She was the headline everyone couldn't stop talking about. The punchline didn't die on that stage either. It traveled like wildfire. Other comedians started circling in, social media got messy, and the internet pulled out the popcorn as Meghan turned into the biggest roast of the season. People weren't just laughing at Jo Koy's delivery, they were dissecting every word like it was some secret clue about Meghan's image. But here's where it got even more brutal. Actress Alexandra Daddario dropped a little gem in an interview that had people raising eyebrows all over Hollywood. She didn't throw direct shade, but the way she hinted at Meghan's classic behavior, those subtle moves that always seem to slip out when she's in the spotlight, felt like a quiet dagger. If Jo Koy lit the fire, Alexandra poured gasoline on it, turning Meghan's name into the talk of every Hollywood afterparty. We'll circle back to Alexandra in a minute, but let's pause on Jo Koy, because the way he opened his Golden Globes monologue was pure chaos. He walked out there with the crown in his sights and didn't waste a single second before swinging straight at Harry and Meghan.
Meghan Markle on her phone naivety. Oh my God, you guys, I married into the royal family, and guess what? They're weird! If only there had been some signs. Oh, leave us alone. All we ever wanted was our privacy and a Netflix deal. Ah!
The man went for the jugular in front of the entire Hollywood elite, and the audience couldn't believe it. He started with Meghan, but then he locked in on Prince Harry, and that's when the room really shifted. Jo didn't just joke. He dropped the line everyone's been whispering behind closed doors, that Harry and Meghan have been raking in Netflix checks while doing absolutely nothing.
Just a great series about a rich, white, dysfunctional family, all scheming. Oh no, that's The Crown. That's The Crown. I'm sorry.
That wasn't just comedy. That was a public call-out. And here's the kicker, he wasn't wrong. A Netflix deal from the outside might sound massive, but in their case, it's barely news. When you're already tied to royalty, dripping in wealth, and cushioned by privilege, scoring a production contract isn't exactly groundbreaking. It looks more like another bonus on top of a lifestyle that was already set. But Jo didn't stop there. Just when people thought the jokes had peaked, he delivered a brutal punchline that tied Harry's so-called money hustle to the circus of Hollywood itself. It was slick, savage, and set the tone for the night, proving the crown isn't untouchable when comedians get their hands on it. Jo Koy didn't just crack a joke at the Golden Globes, he triggered a full-on Hollywood chain reaction.
Prince Harry and Meghan Markle will still get paid millions of dollars for doing absolutely nothing. And that's just by Netflix.
His roast was the domino that tipped everything over, and before long, Saturday Night Live jumped in and made Meghan and Harry their favorite target. Colin Jost wasted no time turning their so-called fairy tale into comedy gold, comparing their love story to Elon Musk. Ridiculous, inflated, and built on hype. The crowd lost it, because deep down, everyone knew exactly what he meant.
I have a deal too, chill. You guys are acting like...
And then Colin twisted the knife even deeper. He dragged a royal Photoshop blunder into the spotlight, flipping it into a jab about Meghan's constant need to insert herself, always lending a helping hand, even when nobody asked for it. The audience laughed, but the shade was impossible to ignore. It was Meghan's brand turned inside out. But SNL didn't stop at punchlines. They went nuclear with a sketch starring Emma Stone as Ms. Tinsley, Harry's ex. The character was a razor-sharp parody aimed straight at Meghan, mocking the privilege of living in mansions without ever lifting a finger.
How great was Imelda Staunton? in the Crown. Wasn't she amazing? Her portrayal of the Queen was so good, Prince Harry called her for it and asked her for money.
It wasn't just funny, it was brutal, turning Meghan's lifestyle into a punchline too heavy to dodge. And then came the cherry on top. Alex Moffat showed up as a stiff, uptight Prince William, while Mikey Day played Harry as a clueless royal sidekick. The awkward brotherly tension was exaggerated to absurd levels, and the crowd howled. What started as Jo Koy's joke had snowballed into an all-out televised roast, making Meghan and Harry the entertainment industry's running gag.
And come on, Elon built electric cars, he's going to Mars. Why is he even involving himself with Twitter? It would be like if the Prince of England gave it all up just to marry an actor from Suits.
They even dragged Prince William into the mix, mocking his thinning hair while tossing in a goofy dance that had the whole crowd doubled over in laughter. It was ruthless comedy, and the audience couldn't get enough. But if you thought the roast ended there, John Mulaney stormed in and proved otherwise. He didn't bother with clever wordplay or sugarcoating. He went raw, dropping a no-filter takedown of Prince Harry that cut right through the polished royal image. It wasn't cute, it wasn't subtle, it was straight-up brutal. The kind of punchline that left Harry looking more like a punchline than a prince.
A Christmas photo released by the royal family features a bad Photoshop job where Prince Louis's finger appears to be missing. And this is sweet. Meghan Markle said she has a finger they can use if they need it.
And Meghan, John didn't hold back on her either. He tore into her trademark move, playing the victim. He mocked the act of her pretending she had no idea what the royals were really like, as if the palace came as a surprise. The audience erupted, not just laughing, but cackling, because it sounded so absurd laid out that bluntly. And just when people thought every comedian in the business had already taken their shot, another heavyweight voice stepped up, ready to pile on and keep the fire burning even hotter. Conan O'Brien slid into the chaos with that razor-sharp, bone-dry wit he's famous for, and his line about Meghan and Harry sent the roast spinning into pure late-night madness. Nobody saw it coming, and the delivery was so sly, it had the entire crowd doubled over. But Conan wasn't finished. His next line took such a bizarre twist, it turned the royal mockery into full-blown absurd theater. And then the wildfire spread even further.
Oh, hello, little baby. Hello, little tiny baby. Little baby.
Right?
Your dad broke up with me on WhatsApp.
Hey, so how have you been, Tins? Huh? Good?
Splendid, Harry. Splendid. I'm so busy and happy. I'm glad we didn't make it, Harry. I don't want to be a duchess and live in a huge house for free.
It wasn't just the comedians anymore. Hollywood stars themselves began chiming in with their own Meghan horror stories. Suddenly, Meghan Markle wasn't just a joke. She was a running problem. Even off stage, people started sharing how she somehow managed to mess with their lives in the most unexpected ways. Actress Alexandra Daddario made it personal. In an interview, she revealed her genuine frustration after Meghan's presence practically ruined her peace. According to Alexandra, her favorite yoga studio in New York, the one spot where she could actually breathe, turned into a paparazzi-packed circus the second Meghan started showing up. Imagine trying to meditate while cameras flash and Meghan steals the room's focus. It's chaos, and Alexandra was fed up. By this point, the Meghan and Harry storm wasn't just a moment.
The real dunce of this fairy tale is Prince Harry has entered the chat. You dumb ginger. You leave your title because you don't like your 94-year-old grandma? That's the definition of something you wait out, gangsta.
It was an obsession. What started as Jo Koy's one-liner had snowballed into a Hollywood-wide roast, with A-listers treating Meghan like the safest, easiest punchline in town. Even satire puppet shows piled on, mocking the couple with a brutal honesty that felt sharper than any royal interview Meghan had ever given. And when Harry still couldn't land a proper job, the satire shows pounced. Meghan was portrayed scheming up her own big plans, but the way they staged it looked less like ambition and more like a cruel cartoon roast. The sketches were funny on the surface, but the jokes sliced deep, painting the couple as clueless about reality. It was comedy, sure, but the sting came from how much truth was buried in every line. Once the puppets and parody shows had their say, the stand-up giants weren't about to sit quietly. Why let puppets have all the laughs when the real comedians could go even harder?
You, Oliver, you have generously offered to keep the wax figures of Harry and Meghan safe while the royal family drama gets worked out.
Yeah, that's correct. And if I may, I would just like to say that I'm definitely not using the wax figures for stuff. Just to clear that up.
That's when Joe Rogan stepped in, seizing the moment and turning Harry into his latest punchline. He didn't just joke, he tied it straight to his own public beef with Harry, spinning it into a savage comedy segment that had fans howling. And let's be real, when even Rogan starts clowning you, it's over. At that point, it wasn't just playful jabs anymore. The comedy world was straight up calling out the cracks in Harry and Meghan's carefully crafted story. Every joke hit like a truth bomb, leaving their image wobbling under the pressure. But all of that was just the warm-up.
Is this true that is this true? Meghan Markle has ruined your workout regime. Is this true? If so, how?
Yes, she has.
How?
The real knockout blow came from the one man we promised from the very start. And when he spoke, the whole Hollywood circus shook. And then came Chris Rock, the moment everybody was waiting for, the brutal reality check. The night may have been filled with jokes, but when Chris grabbed that mic, he owned the stage like no one else. He didn't dance around Meghan's image, he went straight for the core of her favorite act, the eternal victim routine. With one ruthless set, he flipped her carefully crafted complaints into comedy gold, turning her sob stories into an international punchline. The laughter wasn't just loud, it was knowing. People weren't just amused, they were realizing how ridiculous the act had always been. That's Chris Rock's genius.
Well, she came into New York last weekend,
Yeah.
and she went to a yoga place called Moto Yoga, which is my yoga place.
He doesn't just land a joke, he cuts deep into the narrative. He shredded Meghan's clueless Duchess script with surgical precision, forcing the world to see what she tried to hide behind staged interviews and polished speeches. And with one savage punchline, he stripped away the mask. Suddenly, Meghan couldn't play the same game anymore, because once Chris Rock made it a joke, there was no taking it back. Once the comedians had ripped them apart, the internet grabbed the roast and turned it into a full-on circus. TikTok, YouTube, Twitter, every platform became a non-stop burn zone where Harry and Meghan weren't just joked about, they were chopped up, remixed, and roasted on repeat like viral background noise. The memes came flying so fast, it felt like the internet crowned them its new favorite comedy duo. Except they were the punchline, not the stars. And here's the wild part.
Said H was H was at the H. H has been as H is, and H called me with H, and H was out, and with H. I may no longer be royal, but I'm still a pain in the ass.
It all started with something as tiny as one awkward Netflix moment. Meghan tried correcting Mindy Kaling on her name, but that little slip turned into pure meme fuel. The clip got slowed down, looped, captioned, and replayed into oblivion until it no longer looked like a correction. It looked like a running gag the internet refused to let die. Meghan's face became the go-to template for every exaggerated correction meme imaginable. People plastered captions, twisted reactions, and dragged it out until it was impossible to escape. For Meghan, it wasn't just embarrassing, it was brutal proof that the internet doesn't forget, and it never lets go once it smells a weakness. And then came the parody. Except this time, it didn't even feel like parody anymore. Meghan herself looked like the punchline. Imagine giving budget-friendly tips from inside a sprawling mansion kitchen while casually sipping champagne. It was like watching a live comedy sketch without the laugh track.
Trick that people do with pineapple, instead of just cutting it to make the perfect little bite, you follow the wedge. When nature has given you all the cues on how to have a perfect taste of something.
Oh, how fun is that? I love it.
This woman is being paid millions of dollars to show how to cut into a pineapple.
People online joked that Meghan didn't need comedians to roast her. She was doing it all by herself. By the end of it, the real winners of this entire saga weren't Meghan and Harry at all. It was the comedians. Jo Koy, Chris Rock, and every late-night host in between proved one thing loud and clear. When Meghan's around, you don't even need to write new material. She practically serves it up on a silver platter, ready-made for the punchline. The jokes just write themselves, and Hollywood knows it. So what do you think? Who landed the sharper blow? Jo Koy with his Golden Globes opener, or Chris Rock with that savage knockout routine? Drop your thoughts in the comments, smash that like button if you enjoyed watching Meghan roasted from every angle, and don't forget to subscribe for more.